how's the audio? We should be live now. I think anyways. Still hear music. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. This is the second stream. All right, audio sounds good. Let's do it. All right, what's going on, everybody? I told you guys we're going to be doing monthly live streams, and I'm trying to keep up with that with a live stream tonight. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Let's really quickly go through the chat here. All right, let's see. We've got Bob Casey, Eddie Nunez, Mr. Bottom, who loves his bottom. Very interesting. JP Lawns, Gianni, Black Ops Drones, Demography Now. Go screw yourself. Greg Hart, how's it going? Thanks for checking me out live. Raptor Man, Cardoso, Geeksvana, what's going on, man? How are you today? And Canadian Drone Pilot, B-Man, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for hanging out. I figure I could take these out of my head now. Now I know the audio is good. So tonight, yeah, just want to do a little bit of live stream, chat, answer some questions. Do some follow-ups on some recent videos that we've recently done. I know there's a lot of people like sort of pissed with me because I sold the Skydio II. Also, somebody wants to confront me because he didn't like what I had to say over a minute difference on flight about some props. Okay. All right. We'll just get into all of that tonight. So let's just peaches and cream. Yes, exactly. Peaches and cream. Hopefully the audio is good. I remembered this week to go ahead and make sure I unmuted everything. So hopefully it's coming in good. If I need to make the volume a little bit louder, let me know. Otherwise, please adjust your hearing aids. Sorry, that's pretty bad because my audience could swing that way. They could have that. I digress. I actually want to start off the stream, I guess, talking about something interesting. I received an email today from Cliff Totten. Now, if you don't remember Cliff Totten, Cliff had some really interesting videos talking about the Mavic 2 Pro. Remember when that was first released? There was all this controversy around it, how the images weren't so sharp, and that there was some pixel binning possibly happening, but never actually confirmed. Anyways, Cliff sent me an email today, and I don't know why he sent it as a submission because he has my email. Anyways, I'm going to read you this email because I thought this was really interesting, and it's actually about the Evo II. By the way, if you haven't already noticed, like Autel's been very public on their social media platforms, which in product world, that is a good sign, meaning we should be seeing a release probably sooner rather than later. That's just a guess anyways. Don't take it to the bank, but that's just a guess. Anyways, he said Autel has released its sensor specs on the Evo II, and he says they are exactly as predicted. They are using Sony IMX586 and IMX383s. So I'll explain more as to what this means. As stated in some forums and comments, the IMX586 is not a true 48 megapixel sensor. Okay, so to put this in layman's terms, yesterday Samsung released their new Galaxy S20, has this ridiculous 108 megapixel sensor. So they claim they're using a pixel binning. Anyways, they're combining pixels to get this 108 megapixel sensor. And the long story short is Autel is using a quad Bayer sensor, which is doing typically the same thing. So it's not really a true 48 megapixel sensor. There's some parlor tricks on the behind the scenes that's happening. Also, he goes on to note that it's not actually a true 6K video sensor on the 1-inch sensor. It's actually a 5.5, which is still pretty solid. I know that the Mavic 2 Pro technically can shoot 5K or 5.5K. Technically, it's downsampled, but it looks like it's only a 5.5K on the 1-inch sensor, not actually true 6K, but it's still more than enough for anybody's needs, no doubt. So there's a lot of other stuff in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post this email into the stream notes. So if you're interested in reading the details of this, I'm actually going to put the entire email that Cliff typed up. Cliff's like a real whiz with cameras, super technical, super nerdy. I don't mean that as an insult by any means, but if any of you find this interesting, you can go ahead and read this later. So with that being said, let me jump back into the comments because I've been reading that. I totally forgot to look. What is going on? Mike Roche, good to see you. Brad Hendo, Jake Sloan, thanks, man, for joining. Crap, Jake, I hopefully am not overlapping your stream. I know you stream on Wednesdays as well. Time difference between Alaska and East Coast, I'm sure. Hopefully that's not the case. Paul, what's going on, man? Mike B, good to see you, man. Nice to always see you. Eddie Nunez in the house. And Captain Phillip, what's going on, man? Long time, haven't seen you in a bit, man. Good to see you. And Idaho Quadcopter. All right, so interesting story today. So I've been going through some analytics on the channel, and I noticed a yellow little dollar sign next to the video I did on the coronavirus and DJI closing, right? And I noticed that any video that I mentioned coronavirus was being demonetized, which I did not even think about that, but it's sort of weird that YouTube is sort of suppressing that information. Any video, I actually noticed, I started to look at research, and it looks like multiple videos that mention the coronavirus have been limited advertising or demonetized, which I don't care, but I just thought it was interesting because what tends to happen is these videos get promoted differently. It almost like the algorithm like slowly suppresses it, and it just like gets hidden and nobody ever sees it. It doesn't become recommended. It's just really weird. You would think they would want that information out there, but I thought that was sort of interesting that they were doing that. And it was only any video that I mentioned coronavirus. So the Autel video did not, because I actually never mentioned it at all. The DJI video did, and I think the the recent 00 video did get demonetized, which I don't understand. I've never had that happen just talking about current events. So what what is anybody seeing that? Am I seeing things? What? Is that legit? Can anybody confirm? Is that legit? Is somebody trolling me with that? Does anybody see this community safety? What? Community safety monitor. Hello, just got a notification that this channel is speaking about the, I don't even want to say it. No, that's got to be, but if somebody spooled that up that quick, what? That's, please live. All right, okay. It's totally fake. Totally fake. All right. I'm sorry. All right. I mean, that's pretty good that somebody was like on it like that quick to spool that up. Man, that's fast. Okay, I was gonna say, man, that's super fast for somebody to spin up a fake account like that and troll me. But okay, cool. So yeah, I want to touch a little bit more. Sold the Skydio II last Friday. Actually sold it to a subscriber. I didn't even know he was a subscriber at the time. And matter of fact, the guy didn't even know that he was buying the drone from me. I ended up selling it through. Okay, never mind. That totally makes sense. Anyway, so the guy didn't even know he was buying it for me. I put it up in one of the groups that I was in. And I had one of my buddies list it just because I didn't want, you know, sometimes people give you a hard time or like troll you because of, you know, what you do online. So I was like, well, I'll just have him put it up for sale and sell it and see what happens. And then he just sort of looped me into the conversation. But great guy. He actually has a Skydio already. and they're going to be using them for search and rescue. So at least I know it's going to a good cause. It's not just somebody that's, randomly wanted it just to do stupid stuff with, that he's actually going to use the drone for good. So that's actually awesome. He's out in California. So I was actually pretty impressed when he told me what they planned on doing out in the desert with these drones. So it's pretty impressive. But yeah, happy that it went to a good home. I guess that's sort of a weird thing to say about a drone, but I know it'll be taken care of, and hopefully he won't crash it, because my fear was I was going to crash it next and it wouldn't have gotten warranted, because my lockout, I would have been over water or something like that. And Skydio probably would have been like, nah, we're not gonna warranty it. But I mean, the end result, end all be all, I mean, I still have a second one that I have access to if I need it, but it's just not like readily available in the office, not for a little while. But yeah, anyways, it's sort of it was a stressful drone to fly, because I always felt like as I was flying it that, I don't know, like you just sort of lack, I felt like there was a bit of a confidence breach there with the drone. After seeing what happened on several other channels with this drone, I actually started losing confidence in it. When I fly the Mavic 2 or even the Evo or almost any other drone for that matter, you always know sort of the outcome. But with this drone, you just never really knew. And it's, trust me, more and more people are probably going to have accidents with these until they tone back or put more control to the pilot. I think that's probably the best thing. Or people stop trying to intentionally wreck them, maybe. But we'll see. No, Raptor, you'd be surprised, man. We haven't yet to hear from Kluge's side of the story yet. And I've talked to Kluge, so I know exactly what happened with his drone. And I promise you that they're being very selective with certain situations. I mean, I would probably make a loud enough stink about it to where they probably would do it, but I would make a loud enough noise regardless if I did this or not. That's just my personality anyways. So but I'm thinking like all the caveats that you read through that warranty are a little bit sketchy. When I buy a drone, I want to take it over the water. I want to fly it in the areas that I can't normally put a camera in, and I also want to take it around the times that I want to fly it, that the times that I feel are convenient. And I don't want to have to rely on the fact that whether or not there's going to be enough light for the drone to actually fly or do the things that I want it to do. Somebody compared it to paintbrushes, and I mean, I sort of get that analogy, but I don't get that analogy because not everybody can afford the luxury of owning a bunch of different drones. So, sometimes people want to buy a drone that can serve multiple purposes. And I just don't believe that Skydio is a multi purpose drone. Not yet anyways, but I'm sure they're going to learn and make changes over the previous version, which is this. Yeah, no, Billy's crash was not normal. I mean, that thing just sort of like lost its mind and killed itself. I mean, that was really weird. So hopefully they figure that out and figure out what happened, because what was scary was, like I said, I was flying over the water just a week before, and I was over well over 30 meters of water. I mean, I was in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and I mean, that would have sucked. If I would have had mine hit the water then, it would have been gone. No doubt would have been gone. All right, let's catch up on some of these comments here. Wow, that's crazy. So Leon had a vid, had to remove all reference to said virus. Yeah, that's interesting, man. I looked through it, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just guessing that maybe I put something in a tag or something that maybe the algorithm is just triggering. Either way, I don't care. Yeah, I mean, it's just a limited type of drone. Any interest in a Matrice 300? Is there enough positive to justify the cost? Preston, if you have a commercial use for a Matrice, it's like the Swiss Army knife of commercial drones. It's just, you got to prepare yourself for that purchase. I mean, a typical Matrice, outfit it correctly, you're looking about 25,000 bucks, which is, you know, hopefully you're doing work that will make that money back for you. So let's take a look. Yeah, definitely grenaded himself. Yeah, I mean, the problem is Skydio. Here's the problem I have with that, B-Man, is Skydio never necessarily came out with that. Like, if they all they wanted it to be was a chase drone, they should have never sold a controller with it. What they should have done was made the beacon and left it as that. Like, just say, hey, this is our proprietary beacon. It can extend the range. Hey, good night, Jake. You know, let it extend the range, call it a day, don't put out a controller, because the fact that they reuse the tech from Parrot is just silly. And you know what's funny is the Parrot actually does reasonably decent on its own, but I think that's a lot to do of the way the antenna positioning is on the Parrot. But with the Skydio, what I found was interesting with the Skydio was if I'm flying away from myself with the back end of the drone facing me, I can push it pretty far. But as soon as I did that turn to come back towards me, I noticed that the drone would have signal strength issues, and a lot of times I would get a disconnect. And it's when it disconnects that was most nerve-wracking to me, because depending on where I was where I would have a lot of close calls. Like, I had a situation, I never put this in video, but I was at a park and the drone decided not to rise up. It decided to go through the park, and there in between me, there was a playground. And I mean, it buzzed through the playground, and I was like shitting bricks, thinking to myself, like, if this thing hits somebody or a kid, I'm done. I think it was that day specifically that I really started doubting things. And I was flying away from like everybody. I was still being safe. I was not flying over anybody. And the drone made the decision to return home over people. It was just the goofiest return home procedure I've ever seen. Yeah, I agree, but I think it was a bad, I, so the antennas, B-Man, are what I would gather are in the rear. If you look at the drone, there's no legs, there's no landing gear. So where are you going to stick the antennas? They can put them in the front of the drone, they could put them in the rear, but what I see, or what I've experienced at least, is that they're in the rear. At least that's what my suspicion is. I would love to open one of those up and just take a look at the transmission system in that, just to have a better understanding. I mean, it's a brilliant product, you know, and that's what, you know, I think people probably thought, you know, I was trashing on it or telling people not to buy it. And the reality is I wasn't telling anybody not to buy it. I'm just, you know, was specifically speaking from my experience with, you know, what I had happen with me. But, you know, I would never tell anybody not to buy it. I mean, worst case, you buy it, you don't like it, you can return it, or you can sell it. I mean, these things are selling on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money. If you go on eBay, maybe they've dropped a little bit as batches started rolling out. But when these things didn't even come out, they were selling for like 2,600 bucks, you know, on eBay, which is just insane. I did not price gouge or mark mine up, because that was the last, I just wanted what I paid for it back. And I was just happy I got that. Al, as of right now, there is no date on the Pro shipment yet. Again, I don't know what the status of production is over there, just simply because with everything that's going on in China right now, we don't have any idea as to, you know, what's happening. You know what I mean? A lot of companies are basically, you know, halted at the moment. I think they're supposed to be going back to work soon. But my suspicion is whatever the issue was, they figured out, because Autel's really been teasing things and they changed their logo. So, I mean, you don't typically, if you are delaying a product, you don't want to have a lot of unnecessary attention. So my thought is maybe that they're going to move the product much quicker. Hey, Chris, good to see you, man. So that's my thought anyways, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm you know, I'm keeping an eye on it, and you know, as soon as I know, I will definitely let you guys know, hopefully sooner rather than later, because I know a lot of people have pre-orders in, and some people have, wanted to cancel. But, if you cancel, then you lose your spot in line. So my recommendation is just sort of sit tight, because it's definitely not going to be another Evo 1 situation. They've put too much, hard work in, for it to actually go down that path. So we'll have to see. Yeah, a lot of companies did go back to work this week, Ken. I know DJI is back at it. I didn't hear officially whether or not Autel is, but like I said, they've been really, really active on social media. So if they're making all these changes, chances are they are probably going to work on getting it out. I have not seen any signs of Mavic 3. I don't think we're going to see a Mavic 3 for quite a while. I think DJI is going to probably want to put their best foot forward with the Mavic 3 if and when that should happen to come. But I wouldn't hold my breath for a Mavic 3 anytime soon. Yeah, I couldn't even imagine what it's like being over there, having to deal with that, and just knowing that the potential that you could get sick is there. I mean, that's freaking me out. Hey, what's going on, Brad? Good to see you, man. I know when I had the flu earlier this month, I mean, it kicked my butt for probably a good, better half of the end of January all the way to the beginning parts of February. I'm just now getting over whatever it was that I have. The Evo II will not have a mechanical shutter. It's going to have a similar shutter to what the Mavic 2 Pro has. So definitely is not going to have a mechanical shutter. I wish, but no mechanical shutter on that. DJI still making money on the P4 Pro re-release. Yes, they are. They are probably making a lot of money with the re-release of that drone, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I'm trying to, I'll try to keep you guys updated, as information breaks. I just have to validate and make sure that it's accurate information. The last thing I want to do is, release something I know for the sake of being first if it's not accurate. Too often what happens is, I've seen, people rush to put out a video, they don't have all the facts, and then, the story changes after the fact, and then people make decisions based upon what they just heard. And sometimes a lot of the decisions made are knee-jerk reactions, and we don't want that. So we want to make sure, you guys have the best possible information. So try to be as transparent as possible. What's going on, Amir? Good to see you, buddy. So yeah, as soon as that comes down the pipe, I'll let you guys know. As far as those master Airscrew props, that was another video I sort of took a lot of heat for, because I told people not to run out and buy those, and I guess I should have added more context and clarity to that. My thing is with props, the Mavic 2 props were already engineered beautifully. We weren't in a situation where like the Mavic Air, that thing was loud, that we needed, a prop that was engineered quietly. But where the Mavic 2 Pro, I just never really felt like the props were all that loud. The only reason why I've been rocking those red props is because I wrecked the drone. But I've been using the master Airscrews for a little bit now, and yeah, they work pretty well. I mean, there's nothing amazing. I don't really notice much of a difference. Once that drone gets further enough away from me, I don't hear anything anyways, which it's never a bad idea to, to have some noise from your drone so you can have a good visual awareness of it. But I don't know, sound never really bothered me. All right, so let me jump back into the comments here. Yeah, exactly, Gianni. Exactly like the mainstream media. If you were to use a drone for real estate projects, what would you go for? Would you prefer the Mavic 2 Zoom for the super resolution feature? Absolutely not. I use, for all my real estate projects, when applicable, I use the Mavic 2 Pro because I love to have super sharp images and the camera on the Pro is amazing. I love that 1-inch sensor for that specific reason. The color science out of the Hasselblad camera just is beautiful. And yeah, so I use the Mavic 2 Pro when I can't fly a certain area or DJI's give me a lot of restrictions issues. I will flip over and use the Evo. So whenever I go on a shoot, I always bring 2 drones with me. I bring the Evo and I bring the Mavic 2 Pro. If Master Airscrew sponsored my channel, would you suddenly notice it? No, I wouldn't. I would still, even if they came to me and said, hey, we want to send you props, I would still give the same verdict. I have companies that won't work with me anymore because they sent me product for free. And I just basically gave my honest opinion, and that opinion wasn't what they were hoping for. I've had companies pay me for a review, and I still gave my honest opinion, and they were pissed, and they backcharged me, or they tried to backcharge what they, like, when I build a video for certain companies, they have to pay. They have to pay for the production process. And yeah, they were pissed, and they tried like doing a PayPal reversal. That didn't work out too well because I documented everything, but that's, that's par for the course. If you want somebody's honest review, you got to let them speak whatever it is they think. And sometimes it doesn't always work out the way you want. Now, sponsored videos are entirely different because I try to only run I'll do like an ad spot for like a software or something. That's totally different. And I'll usually put paid promotion in there. Like I did a couple of ad spots for some software companies, which actually the softwares that I've done, I've actually used to recover data. So, at least it's something I use. So I usually won't do something unless I believe in it or I'm actually going to use it. I think the next sponsored ad spot that I'm going to be doing is with a company called Surfshark. It's a VPN. And the only reason why I ended up, agreeing to go on with Surfshark is, well, one, I use VPNs when I travel, like, and I'm staying in a hotel. And 2 is because they were cheaper than private internet access. And then I heard private internet access got sold, and now they're login. And I'm like, I don't like that, because if I have credentials or something or financial information, I don't want somebody to be able to sift through that. So I try to use VPNs that don't log, just because you never know who's on the other end of these things. So, but that's going to be the next one. I've got to like build the whole ad spot. I just haven't figured out what video I'm going to put that in. They said, oh, do it naturally. I don't know how you naturally introduce a VPN when my audience flies drones. I mean, I don't know if anybody know how you're going to relate to that. It's hard. So it's really, really hard to introduce something like that. Gianni, I appreciate that, man. I try to, man. I really, really try to. Yeah, I used to use, I've used Express. I've used Nord, which I didn't like Nord. I just recently started testing and using Surfshark. And the only reason why I started using this is the funniest thing. Oh my gosh, the funniest thing happened. So I get the email from this company, and it says, we want to, partner with your channel for some sponsored ad spots. And there was this whole thing going around on YouTube where these people were emailing YouTubers, and they were falling for it. And what was happening was they had them download and run this file, and the next day people were losing their channels. And this company was called Skit VPN. So I thought Surfshark was a scam because I never heard of them. And I responded back to the guy, said, yeah, I'll do an ad spot. You get 15 seconds for $3,500. And the guy responded back to me with, WTF, are you out of your mind? And I, tweeted it out on Twitter, and a bunch of people were like, no, they're actually really good. They're legit. They have the highest trust pilot. And I felt like such a dumbass. I'm like, oh crap. And I just burned a bridge with a real company. So yeah, that was my story of dumbassery. So we're gonna take a shot of some moonshine here and break it up. I'll probably get demonetized for this, but God bless it anyways. Uh, I'm out of beer, so not really an alcoholic, but you know, takes the edge off on a hump day. So yeah, remote ID. If you haven't already, make sure that you head over and voice your concerns. Make sure you do it in a educated manner. And leave your comments. That window closes on March 2nd, and there won't be any extension. If you didn't hear, the AMA asked if we can get an extension on the comment period, and the FAA denied them that request. So, hey, Rocky, if you know, if you can you ship? Yeah, it's not really moonshine. It's like, it's fake shine. It's Florida shine, buddy. What are you gonna do? So make sure you comment. Definitely make sure you comment. Oh, thank you, Fly Natural. Appreciate that, man. A $1.99 super sticker, which is pretty cool. Simon asks, Ken, just want to ask if DroneWorks ships to the UK. We'll most likely won't see all. Yeah. So we do ship to the UK. UK is one of the few places that DroneWorks will ship to, because we can track the shipments and we can request signature required. So yes, we are accepting pre-orders to the UK as well. We will ship and support. So Autel will not support you if you have an issue there, but you are more than welcome to send it back to us, and we play middleman for you, so you don't have to. So yeah. NordVPN did get hacked back in October. I did hear that. So, what was I gonna say? Oh, we are. That's another thing too. So eventually, in the next, two months or so, we should be moving out of this space here. We actually got a pretty large warehouse here locally, so we're gonna be moving everything over to the warehouse in the next couple of months, which I'm pretty excited about, to have like a dedicated space that's not here, which, oh my gosh, I'm super stoked to have the room to be able to do what I want to do. So gonna be pretty awesome. Yeah, I want to try to get up to Tennessee pretty soon, man. I definitely want to get up there and do some flying. I was thinking about taking a summer trip up to Tennessee. So hopefully soon. Really think they're going to listen? Here's the deal, Raptor. We don't know if they are or aren't going to listen. My thoughts on the whole remote ID deal is the fact that I don't think it's going to be able to hold any weight. And for simple reason, there's a lot of privacy laws being broken here. So my thought is, what's going to end up happening is this is probably going to get tied up in court, likely anyways. Whether or not it's going to be heard in the manner that it needs to be heard will all depend. After the comment period closes, the telltale sign of whether or not this is going to move forward with the proposal they initially planned for will depend on how fast they deliberate. If they come back with a response relatively quickly, then you already know they already had a predetermined plan in place, and no matter what we said or what we did, didn't matter anyways. But if they deliberate for a while, then maybe they are actually listening to our comments. It all depends on how much money's in the pockets of the FAA from all these other companies. So it all depends. It all depends. We'll have to see. Addy, what's going on, man? Good to see you, buddy. Zeppy, what's up, buddy? Good to see you too. So yeah, that's why I went. I was working on a video too. We went out. I took what the hell is it? Took the Fish out this past weekend out on my buddy John Callis's boat to try to get some footage, and it was probably the most miserable trip that I've ever been on. Dan from Drone Worship was with me. That was not why it was miserable, but both of us were getting rocked and rolled by the waves. The seas were 4 to 5 feet. It was probably the most miserable time I've had. It was a good time, but man, was it rocky out there. And this was the first time I've ever actually felt seasick trying to fly a drone or try to, you know, pilot one of these ROVs, which ROVs just suck. Dan and I spent more time trying to troubleshoot how to get these things in the water and operating than actually using them. And that we spent more time staring at the phone screen. I think that's what made me sick. If we didn't bring drones with us, we wouldn't have been able to fly. We did catch some fish. Well, we each caught a fish, but still, it was good. You know, it was just really windy out. Really windy, bad weather. We're going to try it again. It was very rough. If you watch his video, you can see how rough it was. I have video, but I just didn't get a chance to piece it all together. But I want to try to get out there again when it's calmer, because where he's at is like literally right next to Clearwater Beach, which would be epic. You know, John, I didn't even offload the footage, but I did figure out why it was giving us a hard time. So on the FeeFish controller, on the left-hand side of the controller, there's these switches, and it says, what does it say? A, S, and something else. Anyways, if you have it in A is for acro on the FiFish. So the whole time we were trying to do this whole, you know, the whole deal, we were in acro mode. That's why we couldn't stabilize. So we should have flipped it over to stabilize. So I don't know. I'm going to try it again. I only figured that out, you know, using it. I put it in the bathtub when I got home to clean all the salt water out. And I'm like, oh crap, I did it again. I forgot to flip the switch. You know, I'm going to do that, Paul. I'm as soon as I get a house that's you know, decent enough to make an explainer video. As of late, I've done a lot of houses recently, but they've all been like really just not good. They're just dumps. So it's, you know, they pay the same. So it's like, but no video, it's just photos only. So it's like, take your photos and you're on to the next house, which is a deal. But we're going to definitely do some more real estate stuff here shortly. Show you guys sort of like my mentality when I'm inside of a house doing a video. Anyways, I don't know if I'll do a photo, because a photo is not really like my real forte, but I will do it. Yeah, I've considered FPV. I have a Tiny Hawk. I just need to get goggles and a controller. Problem is I keep buying so much freaking gear. Like I just bought another camera for the business, and I just haven't put the money into FPV. I'm sure if I get a controller, I'll be able to start flying relatively soon. Like I'll have Dan help me tune that Tiny Hawk, either Dan or Mike, get them to help me tune that, because Kelly was telling me they're a bit of a pain in the neck to get tuned. So once I get them, you know, set up, I'll be up and flying soon enough. So, but that's the goal, is to try FPV, but I don't want to make this an FPV channel, because again, my audience, like the vast majority of my audience, like my demographic of viewers are 35 to 70 years old. So that's a pretty wide array. And I bet you most of you guys probably don't care about FPV. So I try to stay in that line of things. So DJI does need to make a real FPV, you know, drone, not just a kit. They need to make an airframe, the whole thing. That would be epic if they did. And maybe they will one day. Maybe there will be need to. I think a lot of people are still trying to wait and see what happens with all this. What's going on, Bill? Good to see you, man. It is a little bit stressful. You know, FPVs are, I mean, FPV is just stressful if you don't have a partner flying with you. You definitely need to have, you know, a visual observer, somebody that can see, you know, what's going on with you. Cardoso. So yeah, I got the Weebill S. You know, I was really pissed about this gimbal when I first got it because of certain things, but now I've actually made it a little, it's gotten better. So I got these quick release plates, which what was that? Oh, these things are amazing. This thing's great. Like this whole I just wish it clipped in. I didn't have to. I mean, that's still fast. So that's pretty good. And then you can put it up top here. So that's pretty good. But I mean, this thing's great. I don't know why I didn't get one of these sooner. And then I got the handle for the monitor here. So the only thing I don't really like about it is this quick release plate. Like, this quick release plate is a little bit finicky. So I'm going to add my own plate on top of this just to make it faster. But I think it's smoother than the Ronin SE in certain instances. So I'll have to keep playing with it though. It's definitely smoother in certain positions. I think it's because of the lenses I use, but I picked up these quick release plates. So I'm going to mount this on top, which I need this anyways, because a lot of the lenses I use, I need a riser. So this will actually allow me to flip and clip this out. I mean, it's, you know, these were like 13 bucks, but it's a great quick release plate. And then I can just lock it in place. So yeah, I'm going to give the Ronin SC a break a little bit. So we'll see what happens, but I'm sort of impressed with the Xeon. It's just that the build quality isn't quite there. It's not quite the same as the Ronin SE. Just on the controls, like the body of it is very well built, but I feel like they skimped right here on this front plate. That's the biggest weakness, but we'll see what happens. All right, let me jump back into the comment section. How do I feel about the current offerings of 360 video? I think right now you really only have a couple of companies really putting out anything, you know, major. You have Insta1, who makes great 360 cameras. You have GoPro, of course. And then there's a couple of other companies out there. I know one of them is Lab Pano. I'm testing one of them right now. I still have to do that review. But I think it's just a workflow of dealing with 360 video. It's still a pain in the neck. There's no easy way to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's just, there's just no easy way to deal with it. So I try to avoid it sometimes. Oh man, that's good to hear, Peter. Good to hear that it did survive. Let's see. Things are so crazy in the drone world lately. Decided just to get a 249 broomstick. Oh, it's funny. John, the Ronin survived the boat just fine. I brought it back home. I wiped it down. There was just like some salt, like, you know, salt water spilled over on it, but the Ronin SE is still fine, which still shocks me because as rough as it was, that thing was getting beat around. But I've had that on a couple of other boats before and same thing. So, I mean, it survived multiple boat trips. So I'm pretty happy with the Ronin SC. I think for the price at, you know, 439 bucks for that gimbal, it's worth it, but there is a lot more limitations to the Ronin SC than there are to this. Now, if you have a small camera, like I'm using a 6100, or if you're using a 6600, you're probably okay. But the minute you go for anything with a zoom lens or a longer lens, that's where the Ronin SC has some problems. But with this, I mean, this thing was pretty impressive so far. So we'll have to see how it does on more shoots. Yeah, I would just hold off and wait, Brad, on 360 cameras for right now. Give them a little bit to make actually, it's not even the cameras that are an issue. Well, no, it is sort of. Like, for instance, the new Insta1 camera that just released, you know, the 1R, was the 1R? I can't remember. Anyways, the stabilization isn't even built into the actual camera itself. It's built into, you have to add it in post, which is a pain in the neck, you know? So I think that's annoying. I think they need to make things a little bit better, you know? And plus too, like how you consume 360 content isn't really all that enjoyable. Like if you think about it, like, whoa, thank you, Canadian drone pilot. I really do appreciate that. The way you consume the content from 360 cameras, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? You know, William, I haven't heard whether or not they were actually still making drones. I'm sure they are, but they are definitely very quiet. They're just not very big on social media. Unique needs a better social media presence. They need somebody that actually can interact with the people looking to purchase their drones. That's Unique's biggest problem. They fired everybody because they thought they were going under. That's the freaking problem. All this FAA proposed rules got to be affecting new drone sales. I don't think so. I don't think, you know what? I don't really think it is, because when I talked to manufacturers at CES, they were like, we're not really concerned. Like, they really weren't concerned. They believe that they will be able to beat it or roll with it. So I don't think, end of the day, they're still going to be, what, 2 years, before 2.5 years before anything is actually put into place. So, I mean, we're just now going on 2 years. Summertime will make 2 years that the Mavic 2 Pro has been out. I did sell the Mavic 2 Zoom for a friend. I actually sold it. It was a funny story about that. I sold it to a lady who was 72 years old. She was 72 years old. Craziest thing. At first, I thought I was getting scammed. And then when I met, it was her son that met me. And 72 years old, she's interested in drones. So I thought that was really awesome. So no, the remote ID is not slowing down any of these manufacturers. They're still going to make drones. DJI is definitely not waiting for remote ID. Like I said, they believe that they're going to be able to beat this. So you've got to sort of have a little bit of faith in what they're attempting to do, or what they believe that they can do. And if they believe that they can, get around this and that it's not going to be an issue, more power to them. I believe that they can do it. It's just going to be a matter of if and when. That's, if and when. Yeah, exactly, Brad. Watching 360 video is just sort of a pain in the neck. What are you unloading now? You unloading your Mavic 2 Zoom? I mean, I think he did it because he wants an Evo. So, I think he's just freeing up funds to get an Evo. He does have another drone. I think he's got a Phantom. So he was unloading, funds so that way he has room for an Autel Evo, which makes sense. I mean, that's the practical thing to do, especially like if you're not flying things. You know what I mean? If you're not flying it, it's just sitting. So, I mean, to him, he might as well upgrade to the next thing, which the next thing is going to be the Evo, because it's going to be a really long time before any manufacturer rivals that camera system. That's, just from what I've seen in several videos. Hey, good night, B. Valdez. Good seeing you, man. We will see you next time. So I think, camera wise, if you watch Aldrin's latest upload where he compared the Evo 1 to the Evo 2, I think the 4K still looks pretty solid. I like the colors on the Evo 2. I like the color science, but I still, I agree with him that there's really no reason to shoot in 8K. I don't see any sort of any real point to shoot in an 8K. So, that's just my thought. I think 4K is still going to be plenty relevant for a long time, and that for the most part, most people will still struggle to edit 4K video. So you have the Mavic 2 Pro, Mini, and the Zoom just sitting. Exactly. You can't fly them all at the same time. So it's one of those things that, it's like you got to try to unload. If you don't unload a drone fast enough, they're no longer relevant, and then they become harder to sell. I will say that it is really easy to sell a Mavic 2 Pro or Mavic 2 Zoom. Selling a Skydio or an Evo is a lot harder because they aren't a mainstream drone. So if you are going to sell one, move quickly. That's all I would say if you are going to sell one. All right, let's jump back in the comments. Hey, Curtis, good to see you, man. I gotta gear Curtis up here, man. Boom. Had to give him a gear. All right. Let's see. GoPro Hero 5. Yeah, I had a Hero 5. I sold that. I had the 8. I don't really use the Hero 8 that much, though. I had a Hero 7. I gave it away. I gave it to a buddy of mine. Hopefully he could put it. He's putting it to more use than I was. Do I think the 6K 1-inch Pro camera would be the best deal for prosumer as far as the Evo? I believe so, but it's going to be whether or not people want to wait for that, because obviously the 8K is coming out first. Of course, you can buy the 8K and then, you know, buy the 6K camera, but you're going to be out more money than if you would just wait for the 6K. That's the biggest problem, is when that comes out. But I do think for the prosumer, I think that's a good move. If you really, you know, I'll have to see how it is when it gets into my hands. But the X Dynamics is another drone that I'm excited to try. It's a larger drone, but it's going to rival, it's going to fall in between the Phantom 4 Pro and the Inspire as far as quality goes, with a micro 4/3 camera. So, and that one has 11 miles range and just crazy. So what's going on, Ken? All right, Kluge, Ken, call you Ken Kluge. Good to see you, man. So I'm excited to test that one out. That one's going to be a pretty interesting drone. Yeah, Ronin M has very little resale value because they had a lot of issues with the M and the batteries and everything. So yeah, you got to move. Gimbals are hard to resell because you have to be like sort of a filmmaker to know what you're buying. And even still, people are going to try to chew you down on anything you sell. That's one of my biggest gripes with dealing with Facebook, you know, marketplace, is people try to chew you down. But the best place, honestly, the best place to sell a drone is in a group, because people in the groups know what they are buying, and chances are you can have good luck, you know, having somebody purchase something in a group. You know, that is probably the best way to purchase and sell and things like that, is in groups. I don't even mess with Facebook Marketplace very much, because people will like offer you, you know, pennies on the dollar because they don't really understand what they're purchasing, or they have a little understanding, but they try to get the best possible deal. But that's why groups rock when you're selling something. Let's see. But I'm about to sell my P4 Pro and find myself just always reaching for. That's how I am, though. I grabbed the Mavic 2 Pro because I can just throw it in the bag, and I'm taking it with me on trips. And matter of fact, more recently, I've just been taking the Mini with me, just because it's so tiny. It doesn't take up a lot of space in my bag. So the Mini's been great. Yeah, Cardoso, it's funny. I sold the 4500 and the 4000 fast, but I didn't make anything really off of either one of those. They were given, but still, I got rid of those because I never felt like I would use it. Now, this gimbal and the SC, I'll definitely use in different instances. So we'll have to see. So I wonder if the FAA will take any of the comments and actually use some of them. It's going to be tough to say. Like I said, we'll have to see how quickly they deliberate after that period closes. If they deliberate really fast and come up with a proposal, then I don't think they really spent the time and did their due diligence in reading the comments. I added all my 4K and other videos on my iPad Pro. Now I use LumaFusion and I don't experience any lag. LumaFusion is great. It's phenomenal. The only problem with LumaFusion, and I don't know if they've actually fixed this or not, is if you use the Mavic 2 Pro or you're using the Autel Evo and H.265, you're not actually getting 10-bit video. So it converts it all to 8-bit files. So you're not going to be able to edit 10-bit video with LumaFusion. Is that a really big deal? Probably not for many, and many probably would never notice it, but that's the only thing that I noticed, is the files aren't actually 10-bit files when you use LumaFusion. I could be wrong. I don't think they fixed that. I looked at some of the release notes, and I didn't notice anything that said they fixed that, but I believe they're still 8-bit. Whoa, thank you, Joe. Appreciate that, man. Really appreciate that. I think I got something. Where is it? Where is that? I don't know where it's at. I don't know. I guess that thing doesn't really work. They were supposed to have like this alert thing. I don't know. XSplit. What are you going to do? What's my favorite editing software? That is sort of I'm going to give you a double-edged answer, because I use Premiere Pro because I am familiar with Premiere Pro. I'm comfortable with it. but I also hate Premiere Pro at the same time, because there will be times where it will just absolutely implode on me and crash in the middle of projects. I've gotten videos out or done, or I start editing videos and autosave doesn't actually autosave, and I lose an entire project, and I basically just call it a night because I just don't have the energy to try to edit, re-edit or start what I lost. So I like Premiere Pro. I've used DaVinci Resolve here and there, but Resolve has, I think, a steep learning curve. But I think if you're going to start going down the path of editing video, try DaVinci Resolve first, because if you start with something and learn it, you will typically stick to that. If you start with Premiere Pro, you're going to stick with Premiere Pro, and unfortunately, there's a lot of downfalls with Premiere Pro. If you're a Mac user, you may find solace in Final Cut Pro, but even Final Cut Pro has some drawbacks from time to time. Whoa, T-Rocky, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Didn't have to do that, but thank you very much. But my buddy is trying to get me to switch to DaVinci Resolve. He called me up yesterday and he's like, dude, he goes, I made the switch. He goes, I dropped Premiere Pro. He said it took him the same amount of time that it would have took him to actually edit a video in Premiere Pro than it did to edit the video in DaVinci. And that was with him trying to learn. So he had to learn how to edit the video and then export it. And he said it took the same amount of time. So he's like, it was worth it. So he figured out how to edit the video. He exported the video and he was good to go. So I think, I'll dabble with the, I'll start dabbling with the, DaVinci Resolve, but my thing is consistency. Like, I like to have a consistent look in videos as of lately, and I like to use certain templates. So there's a lot of templates that aren't available in Resolve yet. So I don't know. Well, I hope they fix Premiere this year. I pray that they fix it. That's like my one wish. If is it true Autel removed the 900 megahertz again? If they did, like they did with the Evo, I'm not 100% sure if they removed it. I think I heard talk about that, because I know they reserved that for emergency use, but I can find out for you and let you know. Like I said, anything that we talk about in the live streams, I'm going to recap in the description down below, so you can always review the show notes. So that way you can always go back and see. Talman says, I'm thinking about getting Mavic Mini. I'm never without a drone when I run my next train to okay. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely that's the drone to have if you want it with you all the time, because it is so small. You can just throw it in any bag and not really have an issue. Why is the Mavic Air garbage? I don't think it's garbage. I don't know. I think it was sort of ahead of its time, It was so small and the battery was so weak for it. I mean, there's a lot of people that love the Mavic Air. I mean, it's built really well. It's just loud as hell, and the Wi-Fi interference on that is pretty bad. Although the Wi-Fi interference can be equally as bad on the Mavic Air at time, or Mavic Pro, or Mavic Mini, I should say. Mavic Mini has bad Wi-Fi interference too. It all depends. No, all depends. Yeah, exactly. You do have to, and that goes for any drone. You have to, like I said, there's not a one size fits all drone. You just have to know each drone's strengths and weaknesses. But it's when their weaknesses outweigh their strengths when it's time to ship it. That's my rule of thumb. Once it gets to that point, you got to let it go. It's not worth keeping it, because the longer you keep it, the more depreciation that drone's going to develop, and it's going to be harder to sell it to somebody, especially, that's my fear all the time, is like, if I don't like something and I go to sell it, that somebody stumbles across the review where I just rip it apart. I can show you guys, it's hilarious. I have countless threads where I was trying to sell the Skydio and people were like, wait a second, I saw your review, you said you didn't like it. And I literally talked myself out of a sale, and I'm like, damn it. I'm like, why did I do that? So that's why it was cool when you know, I met Joe because Joe's like, no, I love this drone. So I was like, okay, well, I don't feel bad now, but that's how it goes, I guess, sometimes. Tom, good talking with you, man. I will definitely catch up with you. Yeah, I don't think you'd find many interference issues in North Dakota. Definitely not. It's pretty sparse out there. I think you're safe. Robert, I appreciate it, man. Hopefully it's not too dry. It's what 7 o'clock out there in Arizona. Yeah, so we'll have to see. Well, let's see. There's gonna. I think it's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a great year. Brad, good to see you, man. Yeah, we're approaching 10 o'clock now. Oh, it got late rather quickly. Oh, Mark, you canceled the Skydio pre-order. Yeah, you know, and I think a lot of people will be happier with the Evo II. You know, the time that I got a chance to spend with it, I was rather impressed with the improvements. I think what we'll end up finding out is that the obstacle avoidance on the Evo II will be more than enough for many people. I think that that's going to be the drone that your conventional drone pilots are. Like my audience will probably gravitate towards the Evo II or whatever the next drone from DJI is. I think that that is the type of drone that we want it. That's what type of drone we wanted the Skydio to be. I feel like, you know, it just didn't work out, but you know, maybe next time they're able to make the product a little bit more of, you know, what I would hoped this version would have been, but it is what it is. What dried up? What's dried up, Nate? I have no idea. So we'll have to see. I don't Evo 2 Pro in fall of 2020. No, definitely not. I think the Pro will be sooner than that. I would say I would expect the Pro before summer. Again, you got to keep in mind Autel has to get that out before DJI drops anything else, because if DJI drops a drone, it's going to be much harder for Autel to capture market share. So it's going to be one of those things where they have to get that out sooner. So I don't think fall would be too late. Fall would actually piss a lot of people off, I believe. I think that would really upset a lot of people if they waited that long. So Brad, appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Preston, thank you so much for stopping by, man. I really appreciate it. Roscoe's Drone Zone from down under. Yeah. Oh man, you guys have really been having it rough down there. I feel for you. I really do, man. Raptor, good to see you, man. I will keep the props spinning. We'll keep it in the air, man. Good to talk to you as well. Yeah, it's getting pretty late. I am probably going to call it night. I actually spent most of the evening redoing the office here, trying to remove things. I've now condensed the office a little bit and freed up some more space, because I felt like for the past 6 months I've been tripping over myself as I walked through this office, and at least now I have a little bit more room, so it's feeling pretty good. Drones or Bitcoin? I don't think the government's going to kill drones. I mean, it's just there's too much money in drones for them to kill it, man. I think people have to have a positive outlook. I know it's scary, you know, because they're proposing these regulations, but I think that we need to remain positive and keep the pressure on the FAA, because the minute you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. So B-man, thank you, dude. Didn't have to do that. Really appreciate that, man. But I think that we need to just keep the pressure, you know, on the FAA, that you got to keep voicing your opinion. You got, you know, these videos, every time a new video spools up, I sort of grin, because I'm like, yes, that's what we need. We need more exposure on this. But we also need to educate the public on the reasons why drones are good. We need to educate people that don't actually fly and get them interested in the hobby, so they can support our cause, because there are a lot more people that don't fly drones than do. And we're spending a lot of time, you know, sort of talking to ourselves about this when we should be talking to people that don't already fly, and sort of showing them and educating them on, you know, why it is so fun plus two, the more people know about it, the less they're afraid of it. And, you know, who knows, you may inspire a new pilot. So that's just my thoughts on remote ID. And I think, you know, it's going to be a conversation each and every time we do a stream or whatever, until we get an answer as to what direction they're actually going to go. So will the coronavirus outbreak in China determine the release of the Evo II? I don't think it will. From my understanding and talking to people and hearing it in the chat, I think some companies, some manufacturing companies have already gone back to work. But again, we don't really know the extent of the outbreak over there or what they're doing. So, but I don't think it necessarily will. It just may be a little bit later than normal. Quick question. Is the government delaying orders from reaching the US? I purchased a Phantom drone last Saturday, and I'm being told that my Phantom 4 Pro will not arrive till March 7th. I believe they were halting some orders because, again, with this bacteria, these particles, there is a life expectancy for these particles if there is any bacteria. So they could be taking a safe approach in delaying some of the shipments from actually reaching the shore. I ordered a couple of handles for my Ronin SE, and I ordered a monitor mount, and I got that relatively quickly. My guess is that came from the States and didn't have to be shipped from overseas. But with the Phantom 4 Pro 2.0, chances are that that's going to come from China, as that's where their replenishment is. Barry, good to see you, man. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, they're not going to be able to kill Bitcoin. Exactly right. Greg, yeah, I think a lot of people are switching over to, you know, are going to jump ship. I think, you know, and that's where I sort of feel bad, in the sense that, you know, when we first saw that first teaser video for Skydio 2, you know, I thought it was impressive because you watch the marketing, and I mean, it still is impressive, but it's just not everybody's cup of tea. And I think more and more people are realizing this. But then you have the people that have already bought it, and they will defend it tooth and nail because they paid money for that. Like, you want to believe the product you bought is great, but that's the worst type of person to have representing a product, is the one that buys it and then defends it, even though there are some strong weaknesses, because those are the people that will, you know, convince people to purchase something based upon their own purchase bias. Billy and I did a whole podcast talking about purchase bias, and it's really true. We see it a lot. I see it a lot in the drone industry. So I try to just leave that at the door. Let's see what else. You know, Dale, people will leave a thumbs down on this because I unfortunately piss a lot of people off, because I just say whatever's at the cusp of my thought, and you know, I've made enemies and I've made friends with YouTube. So, you know, for the most part, most of the people that I interact with are pretty good, and there's some people that get really pissed with the things I say, you know, but that's too bad. They need to learn to deal with it. People become too soft, you know, they can't take opinions. That's a shitty problem to have. Want to fly over to Texas. Marches, didn't trust the S2, order the Evo II Pro. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of factors. I didn't really think about the water, flying over water with the Skydio 2, but I think a lot of people, you know, again, a lot of people saw that video where Billy's took a dunk and probably thought to themselves, like, holy crap, you know, this could happen to me. It's never a fun process when you have to do an RMA on a product and have to ship something back to get a replacement. That's always, I hate dealing with that. I'm dealing with that right now with B&H Photo. I returned product, you know, what it feels like 11 days ago, and I'm still waiting on refunds from them. So lesson learned, I won't order from B&H. So I'll stick with Adorama or Amazon, I guess. Dale, I appreciate that, man. Addy, I did, man. He sent it to me before he even made a video, actually. So I did. It was shocking, to say the least. I mean, he took it rather well. He really took it rather well. I've been meaning to get back to Friday night flights, Nate. However, I'm trying to figure out a way to, so California implemented some rules about collecting data. So I have to figure out a way to make it California compliant. So that's why I sort of halted Friday night flights for a little bit, but I'm going to bring Friday night flights back. I just have to find the bandwidth and time to do it. I'll probably make an announcement at the end of the month after all my travel's done. The beginning of March, the end of February is just really chaotic for me. I'm going to spend probably 2 weeks down in South Florida with my company. So it's going to get pretty chaotic rather swiftly. Trying to go through some of these comments. Yeah, but you know, even still, like, even with his thing, even if it saw something reflected in the water, if you would have did that with any other drone, Mavic 2 Pro, Evo, no other drone would have dive bombed the water like that. Like, no other drone would have died. I mean, I'm almost positive nothing would have went and dive bomb. I've never seen something like literally make a beeline and, you know, do that. So never seen that before. JSA, I appreciate that, man. I try to do what I can. Yeah, the Phantom 4 Pro 2.0 is a good purchase, man. That's great reliability. And you know, if you want to go down the professional path, at least you can use that professionally and be unhindered. How are you doing, Ken? Snowed out here in New Mexico. Ow, you had snow in New Mexico. I am sitting back at 85-degree weather, Doc. So, yeah. I lost my sunglasses, and I tweeted out a photo of the sunglasses. Tim, that's awesome, dude. I had to read that back twice. Yeah, I lost my sunglasses. And I tweeted out a photo of, I was on the boat. I lost my sunglasses when I was with John, and everybody's like, you know, it's snowing right now, and you're complaining that you lost your sunglasses. It looks like you're in 72-degree weather. I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. It could be a lot worse. But you gotta love Florida. Like, but in the next coming months, it's going to be our rainy season. Like, come May into summer, it just rains every day. So then I won't be so lucky. So, yeah, Mike's straight to the point too. That's, you know, like, Mike's my neighbor. Actually, he lives literally 5 minutes from me. 20 degrees in Missouri. Yeah, no, you guys can keep that weather. I can't deal with the 20 degree, anything sub 60 degrees. I start, you know, getting a little nervous. I've got the hoodie on at 72 degrees. Hoodie goes on at 72 degrees. But this up and down fluctuation in weather lately, it's like hot one week, cold one week. That's how everybody gets sick in Florida. Really is. Yeah, today was a high of 86 actually. I had the AC on. Had the AC on today. Gorgeous day. I didn't get a chance to fly because, like I said, I was been remodeling the office, trying to get everything situated for some upcoming videos. Needed some more room. But you know what? The keys, Eddie, the keys are fun. Just if you go to Key West, it's hard to fly because it's so small and the airport's right there. So if you're going to fly, you're going to fly like on one of the other islands, one of the other keys, a little bit easier to access. But Key West, it's like literally like a no-fly zone. It sort of sucks because of the airport there. I don't know what that was. But all right, guys, that's going to do it. It's 10:14. I am going to turn in. We will try to keep on with the videos. We've got some cool stuff coming up. If there's anything you want to know, like I said, I will go ahead and update the show notes with Cliff Totten's email that he sent to me. If you're interested in reading that, that'll be down in the description of this video. And if there's anything else, you feel free to leave a comment or shoot me an email. But as always, guys, really appreciate all of you, and we'll see you next time. Stay original.
I'll react if I had to, put some things in the past too, and don't let them distract you, but react if you have to, yeah. React if you have to, yeah. Wave, yeah, woo,
illa.